Hello, seventh graders. This is Mr. Ball coming at you from my basement as usual. But it is April 7th. If you guys have any questions, go ahead, email right here. If you're watching this, also, we're starting to take some attendance and stuff to make sure everyone's present, everyone's engaged. Go ahead, comment on this, email me that you have seen this, that you have work, that you're working on it, and I'll make sure to mark you as present. Get you your credit for the day. So what we're going to be looking at is some cool stuff. Forensic science. I figured we'd take a break from the norm and kind of maybe focus a little bit more on possible careers or just cool stuff, forensic science, break up the monotony of the break. So, what I like to do when I'm starting something new, I actually like to start with the end to know what I should need to know. So, in this one, we're going to start here. I'm not sure how your guys' view is. And also, I apologize. I have a little bit of a cough and sniffle today. I think it's my allergies. So, the first one is some true or false questions. We're going to have to be able to identify what the word forensic refers to. We'll have to talk about good observation skills. We'll also have to talk about training. We will talk about memory. Then we'll also talk about something called the Innocence Project. So we'll want to make sure to pay attention during those things. Then we'll talk about more about forensic scientists and what they do, why they're called to the court of law. More about the Innocence Project. And if you guys have ever lived through something with someone else and they describe it differently than you, we're going to talk about why two people might perceive a crime scene in different ways. So we're going to talk about how memory works. We're going to briefly describe what can be detected by observing facial expressions. Be able to analyze a case study. That might be a little bit out of our range. However, we might try to do that if I feel like we can handle it based on the feedback you guys give me. And we're also going to have to learn how to be a good observer. That's very, very important in all scientific situations. So this is going to be some fun. It's going to be a little bit different. I hope you guys enjoy this. So let's go ahead. Let's get back to the start now. I like to start at the end, but then after the end, I go back to the beginning. All right. So with our introduction, you guys should have a printout of this. It's up at the school in the cabinet if you guys don't. So you can follow along on there. I recommend highlighting or underlining some of the important stuff. It's a really good way to get yourself in the habit of studying. So one of the most important tools of the forensic investigator is the ability to observe, interpret, and report observations clearly. Whether observing at a crime scene or examining collected evidence in the laboratory, the forensic examiner must be able to identify evidence, record it, and determine its significance. The trained investigator collects all available evidence without making judgments about its potential importance. That comes later. Knowing which evidence is significant requires the ability to recreate the series of events preceding the crime. The first step is careful and accurate observation. So that's very, very similar to our scientific method, where we're using the scientific method. We're we're doing our experiments just to observe. We're not trying to make snap judgments. If we have a question or hypothesis, we're not trying to prove it true or false. We're not trying to answer the question right away. We designed the experiment to answer the question, and we'll let the process play out for us. So what is observation? Every single moment, we are gathering information about what is around us through our senses. Sight, taste, hearing, smell, touch. We do this largely without thinking and is very important to our survival. Why are we not aware of the information our senses are gathering at any time? The simple answer is that we cannot pay attention to everything at once. Instead of a constant flow of data cluttering up our thoughts, our brains select what information they take in. We unconsciously apply a filter. We simply pay attention to things that are more likely to be important. What is important is decided by various factors, including whether the environment changes. For example, if you're sitting in a room and everything is still, you are unlikely to be filled with thoughts about the color of the sofa, the shade of the light, or the size and shape of the walls. But if a cat walks in, you hear a loud bang, you'll perceive these changes in your environment. Paying attention to the details of your surroundings requires a conscious effort. Oh, sorry, I had to stop real quick. My phone battery is low, so I had to click that off there. Gonna have to get my charger after this video. Because obviously I'm not allowed to charge during class, right? I have that written down in my basement too. It's not just on my board up at school. My wife hates it. All right. It is difficult to believe, but our brains definitely play tricks on us. Our perception is limited, and the way we view our surroundings may not accurately reflect what is really there. Perception is at fault. It is not always accurate, and it does not always reflect reality. For example, our brains will fill in information that is not really there. If we are reading a sentence and a word is missing, we will often not notice the omission, but instead predict the word that we think should be there and read the sentence as though it is complete. That's pretty cool. Our brains will also apply knowledge we already have about our surroundings to new situations. In experiments with food coloring, a creamy pink dessert is perceived to be strawberry flavor even though it is vanilla flavored. Our minds have learned to associate pink with strawberries and apply that knowledge to new situations, even when it is wrong. An interesting aspect of our perception is what we believe we see and hear, even though our ability to be accurate is flawed. People will stick to what they think they saw even after they have been shown that it is impossible. If you are feeling like your brain is defective, do not worry. The brain, while faulty, is still good at providing us with information we need to survive. Filtering information, filling in gaps, and applying previous knowledge to new situations are all useful traits, even if they do interfere sometimes. Understanding our limitations helps us improve our observation skills, which is extremely important in forensic science. Criminal investigations depend on the observation skills of all parties involved. The police, investigators, the forensic scientists, and a lot of times the witnesses. One key component of any crime investigation is the observations made by witnesses. Not surprisingly, the perceptions of witnesses can be faulty, even though a witness may be utterly convinced of what he or she saw. Have you ever noticed that you can walk along the street or ride in a car and be totally unaware of your surroundings? You may be deeply involved in a serious conversation on your cell phone and lose track of events happening around you. Your focus and concentration may make an accurate accounting of events difficult. Our emotional state influences our ability to see and hear what is happening around us. If people are very upset, happy, or depressed, they are more likely not to notice their surroundings. Anxiety also plays a big part in what we see and what we can remember. Our fear at a stressful time may interfere with an accurate memory. Victims of bank robberies often relate conflicting descriptions of the circumstances around the robbery. Their descriptions of the criminals committing the robbery often do not even match. So, tomorrow, we're going to hop in to this page right here. And we'll keep going. Thank you guys for coming out today. I hope you have a good day.